Okay, I'll start now. Okay, and you are seeing my screen, right?
Yes, correct.
Great, thank you. Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar. This webinar is a part of Developer Days online webinar series, and I believe we are the number 6, and today is the last one. And the title of today's topic is BIM 360 API updates. So this is based on the Dev Day 2016 that we did at Autodesk University in Las Vegas. I updated a little bit because it's been a couple of months now, but the main the talk is identical to the talk I gave at the AU. And my name is Mikako Harada. I'm an AEC technical lead and also serving as Americas manager at the Developer Technical Services team. Now we support the Forge and ADN program. And together with me, the Jaime is helping, Jaime Rosales is helping me with QAs and recording. So if you have any questions, feel free to use QA sessions. I may not be able to check a QA session while I'm talking, but I'll come back later for the QAs. Okay. And with that, let's go to the next slide. So today's agenda is first, I'm going through, quickly going through the BIM 360 docs and the family product, and followed by the APIs. I put the dash after BIM 360 docs. It's not about BIM 360 docs API, but the API about docs, and you'll find out why I'm putting this as a separate between docs and APIs. And with that, I will give a brief overview, and followed by the component Forge APIs, authentication, account level, or as known as HQ API, and data management, model derivative, and viewer APIs. And I will be focusing on the relation with the docs, and followed by the summary and then QA. I expect that it will take about 45 to 1 hour. Okay, so first, BIM 360 docs and family product. So as many of you know that BIM 360 is a collection of BIM 360 family product, web services product. And we have, at this point, we have a BIM 360 team, glue, layout, docs, field, plans. I also put building ops here. It's not branded as a part of the BIM 360, but it's also a web services, mobile focused web services, and so we are putting here as a cloud-based product. And right now we have a docs in this orange ones because that docs is based on the Forge, and we'll be focusing on this. And now, the next topic will be about Forge and non-Forge. So this is one of the frequently asked question, and there has been a lot of confusion about the Forge relationship with BIM 360. And I just thought that it will be more clear if I explain this about this before we dive into APIs. So right now, docs is based on Forge and also Team too. But other products such as glue, layout, field are not Forge. And if you are using those products last 4 or 5 years or so, you probably know that the BIM 360 family products, some of them are acquired products, so they came with completely different background. And what we are trying to do now is trying to have more unified the BIM families, and you'll probably see this coming, gradually. So one of the good example is HQ or account level APIs, which you can actually have a common users project and then also assign APIs from HQ API. So at this point, those part which is shown in orange, G, Docs, and HQ are part of the Forge APIs. And we do expect that those non-Forge API will be gradually getting onto Forge, but not with exactly the same way as we are using today. So we expect that this will be more the newer, instead of legacy, the APIs, we'll have a newer APIs and products coming. So why we are always talking about BIM 360 Docs last several months, and that's because that the Docs is considered as a data at the center for whole BIM 360 family and then beyond. What I mean by beyond is that we'll have a completely open architecture through the APIs so that our partners like you can actually hook into these ecosystems and you can expand BIM 360 as a whole. And we are currently, and product team is currently working very hard to have more unified, seamlessly unified future. And I'm expecting that this year will be the time that we'll start to see those things more clearly. So this is a future vision. And so we'll have a docs as a common for the other group, field, etc. And again, team and HQ are already part of the Forge. So just a quick note, many of you probably aware about this one already, but I also hear that some people aren't aware. So BIM 360 team is actually a branding change from A360 team. So if you have an account on the A360 team, you probably get a notification about the choosing either BIM 360 or BIM 360 team or fusion teams. So this will be additions. And then, for instance, the compare change feature, this is specifically targeted for BIM users. So if you use BIM 360 team, you have a specialized features like shown here. This is this is a tool you can compare the changes between different versions. So this is this one example is showing that in a Revit file, you can see if certain element is added or removed or modified. And this will be a very powerful feature, especially if certain changes are deep inside of the building or the metadata which is not visible. So for instance, if there is a manufacturer's name changed in the windows, it will be almost impossible to distinguish between human eyes. But using these tools, you can actually identify what part has been changed between two versions. So what's coming? So again, I talked about this one back in at the AU in Las Vegas. So some of them are already came in. So I'm putting plus in the docs product update plus coming soon. So some of the features we already have or expected have is listed here, such as deleting. This is already there. Restore and make current folders and files. And rename top level folders. These are also available. Copy extracted docs and copy versions and view only permissions. And linked RBT upload and then processing. This one is, I believe it's still coming, or maybe it's released or releasing soon. And improved first use with the sample project data. And then also mobile enhancement, streamline trial, and folder sync online improvement. And big announcement we had was this BIM 360 docs for the Android. And this one was already released. I'm hoping that you are aware of this, but in case you are not, so this is a big first ever BIM 360 Android app. And we are also focusing a lot on RFIs, and RFI supports inside of a BIM 360 docs. And if you are using docs already, you probably noticed because of the RFI icons. And what's included in the first release was that view and then create RFIs and integrate workflow services and then configurations. And it's coming more. And since cloud-based product span for the releasing is quite short. So if you are not aware, I would definitely encourage you to look at this release notes coming from the product managers. Okay. Taking some time somehow. Okay, so here is this. So the part of this the Autodesk community side, you can see a release note here. So for instance, we had an update on February 14th on Valentine's Day. And if you can, as you can see, we've been updating quite frequently. So this one is February, and this one is January, this is January, this is December. So this will be a very good place to keep up with updates. And of course, there is usually internal message when you are studying docs as well. Okay. Okay, so another new thing is this is also announced at Autodesk University. Amma announced this one. So we have a so-called Project IQ. So this is the analytics based and machine learning based tools. So this will be a tool to help construction project managers to manage like risks and improve the performance by identifying some issues and in a bigger scale. And so this is I think it's in the pre-release mode with a limited access, and some people might be already part of it. And we are hoping that this will be released near future. And at this point, we don't have an API yet, but the API is always in our mind, and we please expect that we'll have access through the API as well. And more, we probably you've been probably waiting for this one as well. The next generation of Guru and then Field are also in pipeline, and we are expecting very near future, probably starting with beta or preview releases. So again, stay tuned. I will be probably very busy this year, and I'm very excited about it. And first product will be released, and API will probably follow afterwards. It's usually the case, even though we are hoping to have simultaneous release, but the first release is always hard. We have to have a product running first in order to use the API. So API is expected to come afterwards, but still it shouldn't be a big gap between the timing. So stay tuned about this one as well. So now APIs. So first I will talk about the big picture of BIM 360 docs and then APIs. So BIM 360 docs API overview. So we often hear like, how can we start BIM 360 APIs? And BIM 360 API in developer Autodesk.com doesn't have anything else. And that's actually the truth, and that's the way it is at this point, even though that it's probably confusing until we have better view of API, 4G APIs from product side. So I would say that I usually put this way, that BIM 360 Docs is actually a very good example of using Autodesk internally using Forge itself. So for instance, the authentication or auth is accessed through the Forge, and it is also used by the product. And you can usually see the sign-in page when you're accessing a docs, and you can use the same one. And BIM 360 API, this is the ones Forge portal site list as a BIM 360 API. Then it's actually limited to account and HQ management APIs. And this is the ones that you can use, and this is specific to BIM at this point. Even though in future this similar the feature might be extended to BIM 360 Teams, for instance, but right now we have this one, only this one that's specific to BIM 360 Docs. Actually, I should probably say this one is actually not limited to docs, but you can actually use for the glue field as well, because this is common across the BIM 360s. And data management API. This is actually the main focus of the purpose of the docs, because the docs actually keeps data product side. So the docs provides you a list of project, and within this project you can create files, and then each file folders, and then underneath of folders you can store files. And data management API is access for those files. And once you get to a specific files, then it's about the 3D. In case of 3D models, it's about models. Once you get to a specific models, then model derivative APIs and viewer comes into play. So for instance, viewing capability of 3D model in 2Ds, you can use a viewer. And then also to access data within a model, you can use model derivative. So model derivative, it's a little bit interesting name, but it's about all about the models. You can actually use it to convert file types as well. For instance, from Revit to convert to IFC files, then you can use these APIs and without having Revit. So last one on this docs is the issue API. So I put the asterisk because this one is still a little bit of future item rather than today. And last year when we had a DevCon, we presented about this API that with a hope that we will have this API very soon. But we had a lot of interest, and also internally we had a discussion to make this issue API more generic, not just sitting in the docs. So we are re-evaluating this issue API. So issue API will come hopefully after spring or so, but not as of today, it's not accessible today. But this is also in a roadmap as well. So I'm still keeping it because we already talked about it several months ago. So this is about the team. As I said, Forge API, Forge is common across the Autodesk, used as a base or platform for Autodesk as an Autodesk product. And this one will probably show you the example. So for instance, authentication data management, model derivative viewer, they are all common with BIM 360 teams. So if you access to data management API, you will see a team and docs in parallel. So if you have two hubs, both from both hubs, then you will see in parallel. One little trick is that in order to activate API for docs side, you have to use UIs to give a permissions. This is because that unlike A360 based one, which is more about individual licenses, the docs side is more about enterprise licenses. So that's where this activation comes in. But this one will be once activation is set, then you will see both team and docs in parallel using data management APIs. Okay, with this background, let's dive into Forge API as a component to access BIM 360 docs. So as I mentioned, Forge API is used for the docs and teams in various parts. First, authentication method for BIM 360 docs. So if you are already using A360 and BIM 360 teams, you may notice, you may know that accessing those hubs, we use OAuth 3-legged one. That means it's a user context and it's redirect to account.autodesk.com, like the prompt in sign-in prompt like shown here. In addition to that, in order to access BIM 360 doc, it actually allows two-legged, which is application-only context too. If you use the two legs, it's similar to OSS access, like if you are familiar with View and Data API, it's the same way. So that means that there is no user context. And this one is used for enterprise level. So for instance, in a back end, you'd need to control all the project or users, such as accessing a user's giving access to a certain users or setting up a project using a template or something like that. Then you probably use this two legs. You have to make sure, in both cases, you have to make sure that you keep the ID and then especially secret, client secret, in the secure places. And there is no difference in BIM 360 and then other part for implementation side. And then account admin APIs, which is also known as BIM 360 API, especially if you look at the developer.autodesk.com. So this one is actually only for the BIM 360 enterprise access. And it's it gives you access, read, write, modify access to project members and then companies, subcontractor information. And one thing I should emphasize is that within this BIM 360 enterprise page, you will see HQ provisioning part. This one is actually extend to docs access. So I will show this one. I'll show this one in the demo. Yes. So if once you get into this provisioning part, you now see select access page with the BIM 360 docs added here. So you can see here. So once you get into this page, you can actually enter your client ID, letting BIM 360 docs know that I'm the developer or power users who are using APIs. And then once you get the access, you can use the data management API just like you are using for A360. And this one is a document management focus, not the document specific informations, but accessing a document. And this one is, as I mentioned earlier, common across all Autodesk products who are using the cloud-based systems. So for instance, at this point, S360, Fusion Lifecycle, and BIM Fusion and the Fusion Lifecycle, and BIM 360 Docs and Team. And then consumer products such as Tinkercad are also using this data management APIs. And some of the other products such as InfraWorks, I expect that it will be joining this families very soon. And data management API has a couple of service groups. And one is project services, which is to access to the project. And data service is used to access to the content, which could be the folders and could be the files. And it also have an object storage service. This is called OSS. And this one is actually the main part that if you want to use the file upload and download, you always access this part. And then schema services. This schema services give you the schema of the REST API, the returning values and access values, access format. And I should also note that the data, if you access to the data management, you see return response looks like this. It has a JSON and JSON API links data, and then within this data, you also see data type, attributes, links, relationship, and etc., etc. This format is actually following a so-called JSON API. JSON API it's not about APIs, but it's actually a strict format, and you can find more information about this specific format, JSONAPI.org/format. So once you know this one, then you can actually take advantage of returned values. For instance, since we can have a common format, you can access to the, let's say, links to access like relations, links. You may be able to access from links rather than calling or putting the REST calls together by manipulating for the string. And then also if you have, let's say, like issues, you may have like hundreds of issues. You may want to do a certain operations such as search and sort and things like that. If you use this the format, then we may be able to take advantage of open formats and then common tools created by the community as well. So this might be something you might be interested in when you see the need. At the beginning, you probably don't need detailed ones, but at least you should be aware about this format the data management API is using. And once you get to a certain files, then you get into that you can make use of model derivative API. So it's all about model data. So you can have file translations. For instance, you can, as I mentioned, Revit to IFC, or you can actually take a geometry extraction. Okay, so this one is the third one, geometry extraction. If you want to have, if you have a big models and if you want to have only the part of the geometry extracted, it's also a part of model derivative. There's also access to the thumbnail of the models, and then also data extraction of the metadata as well. With that, I want to switch to some demonstrations. I'll do two demos. One is data management API drill downs, and then also how to access to the document. The APIs. So first, let me go to here. Okay. So this is BIM 360 Enterprise Autodesk.com page. And this is like project members and etc. And the last one is called account setting. If you go to here, you will see three tabs: account setting, business units, and apps integrations. And if you click on here, you see add integration buttons. So this is a part you activate your API access with the docs. So for instance, if you add integration, if you click on add integrations, you will see select access. You have a choice to access to either the account administration or BIM 360 docs. And if you go to next, I'm a developer, I invite a developer. So if you are the owner and the developer, for instance, you are the developer of your company, then you can use this one. And if you are inviting a developer, third-party developers, then you will choose this one. The difference is that if you are a developer, it's dive into the integration setting page. While if you are inviting developer, this actually send the email notification to a developer, and then the developer can get into the setting page, but the developer will stay only in the setting page, not the project page. So in this demos, I'm going to, I'm developer, and then next. So you will see this other integration page. As I said, if you are the third-party developer, you will not see other pages, but you see only this page. And then here you see the account IDs. So this is account IDs you have access. This one is not necessary for accessing a docs, because docs API, data management API gives you a list of hubs, but this one may be needed if you want to give a specific, only to a specific account. And then this is a Forge client ID. So this is the ones you get in Forge app definitions. If you go to developer.autodesk.com, if you go to this developer.autodesk.com, and then if you sign up, you can actually see, I can't sign up right now because I will go to Autodesk internal site. But if you sign in, you will see the sign in page, my app page. So here, okay. So you put your the app names and description, and then save. So that's it. And you can also add the logos. So this will give you a page like this, and then you can use this client ID together with the docs. Okay, so now I'm actually switching my data management. So this is a sample app. I'm actually sample or running app. I'm actually using it, and I'm a little bit slow making it available. If you are interested in, I can give access already, but at this point I'm still kind of working on it. So this is a running tool I'm using, and for instance, in case of docs, I'm actually trying to use this docs 3 legs. So get token. I already logged in less than 30 minutes ago for testing, so it gives me a auth success. So once you get the auth token, which is exactly the same as other the Forge access, you can get the hubs. So get the hubs, and project hubs will give you the list of hubs. And this one, once you get the runs, you will see the request, the response area here. So this is the response, raw response. And this is a little bit difficult to understand and digest what is going on. So I made a tree view here. So tree view, as you can see, the JSON APIs and links and data. So JSON API is just showing a version. And this one is a link to yourself. And then data. So this is the main part that we are interested in. So I have apparently 5 hubs. So this one is Mikako extension. This is a personal hub. This is the personal hub. And just a little small things, but if you see this ID starting with A, that's A360 based. And I actually know that the second from the bottom is B. This one is my hubs. So this one say, this is the hubs BIM 360 account. So this is my hubs. So in order to use, for instance, projects, in order to get the list of projects, what I need is a hub ID. So this is the hub ID. So I put this hub ID here, and you run this one. Then you will see the response. So I have 6 projects, and first one is Alien AC work group. This is the one I'm using as a team, and this is the one demo MH. So this is the one I'm using for demos. So this is the project IDs. So if you want to have, for instance, the top folders, and what I need is, in addition to hub ID, I need a project ID. This orange shows that necessary the parameters. So I click on here and then put it here. So by setting this, I should be able to see the top folders. So we have 4 top folders. One is plans, and second one is project folders, and the third one is recycle folders, and then the last one is the shop drawings. So as you probably know, that docs has a predefined folders, so you always need to use these top folders in order to access. This is slightly different from the A360. Root folder doesn't give you the top folder. So you can, depending on the users, the user may not be able to have full access. So this is the ones that we recommend to use. So let's say we want to see what I have in plans. So plan folder is this. So in order to see the content, now you switch to the data and you see a content. So now in order to look at the content, what you need is project ID and then folder ID. So I put the folder ID here and then run. Okay, so this one will give you the 19 data. So this one is has all the data, including like the templates. This one is the templates, and then actually this one also have a document. So this item, oh sorry, I actually know that number 14 has the files. So this item files, for instance, display name is rack sample project. This file actually has only 2 files, and rest of that is actually a documentation. In docs, we have 2 concepts, files and docs, documents. So file is the seed files. Document is about each page. So for instance, if you upload the Revit files, you may see multiple documentation based on one sheet file. For instance, you may have sheet, 3D views, 2D views, and sheet, and then the 2D views. So those are the ones you'll see all in here. So in order to sort this one, you can always check the file types. So for instance, included one has more information. So for instance, here you have relationships. You can see like items, links, references, and downloaded format, derivatives, thumbnail, storage. So in order to access, let's say, the seed file download, you can actually come to here, included files, and then you can access to the storage. So for instance, if you want to have this derivatives, which is actually a data for the viewing, then you can actually use this derivative IDs. So let's say if you have like a derivative URL here and give a token, and then I have this viewer, little viewer here. So you can get the access. So in order to use these viewers, you only need this URL and then token. So this is about data management. And now let's take a look at model derivative. So this one is actually very interesting because you can access to the data through the REST API as well. So in order to use model derivative, what you need is URN. So URN is here, and you call this. So in the URL data, you actually have this GUID, and this is the one you actually need for the accessing a metadata. So let's see what the metadata returns. Actually, it's probably more straightforward to see it, what it is, than explaining. So this one, run. So metadata returns like a data, object, type, model, blah, 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 and then you actually see like a 29 data. This is actually the same as, for instance, let's see. So this is the data I'm accessing, and then this browser data is actually the same information as this one. So you can see like the types, floor, models here, floor here, floors here, and then this one must be a walls. So this is the information you can get from here. And another one is properties. So property also you need the URN and then GUID. So you run this. It has probably a lot of data. So this one is returning a lot of data, and this also have like 625 data. So this is the data you actually see with this data. This data. So for instance, if you want to have this roof, you can see like 2, 4, 3, 2, 4, 1. So let me just try. 2, 4, 3, 2, 7, 4. So this is the 101, 101, the data is there. So let's just see. My tree is not designed well at this point, so I have to repeat again. So if you look at the 211, here, this one has an object ID, and this is a basic roof, 243274. Okay. So this is the object ID, and then if you go back to this viewer, and then if you add this one to the object ID, and then, then the focus, then you can, as you can see, this one is focused. So you can actually access like this, using the access like this, and then combine with the viewer like this. So this probably explained to you what these the model derivative, design data, properties, and this the other REST APIs. Okay, so with that, I'm going back to my presentations. So this is like a recap of what I have already told, and then also a little bit of tips, and then it's a little bit, the information or documentation might look a little bit like hidden in a large amount of data. So basic workflow is identical to A360 Personal and Team Hubs, but there are a few differences. First, and Docs has additional support for 2 legs in addition to 3 legs. And then also Hub name is actually coming from A360, but it's equivalent of accounts in BIM 360, BIM 360 families. And then Docs requires an additional step for provisioning, or in another word, giving access through the APIs. And activating API access in HQ is needed. And then look for the use of the extension types such as Autodesk blah blah blah, Autodesk BIM 360 instead of Autodesk Core. And for instance, if you want to upload a file, in step 5 of a tutorial, you need to use Autodesk BIM 360 instead of Autodesk Core. Autodesk Core means that it works for the team and then personal ones, but BIM 360 has a special signal. So this is a part which makes a difference. So step 5 of the tutorial means, just to click on here. So where is my cursor? Here. Okay. So this is the underneath of data management API, step-by-step tutorial upload file. And in this one, it's very nicely written, like a step 1, step 2, step 3, and from step 3, create a storage location and blah blah blah. This part is needed for uploading a file, and this is still the same. But step 5 actually has something called core. So you can see actually here core files. So instead of core files, you will need to use this BIM 360. And so other than that, it's the same. I tested with it and it works. So, and use a top folders relationship. Most users doesn't have access to root folder, so please try to use this. And if you upload to plans folder, it will be automatically create a document. So the docs has this plan folder and the project file folders. Project file folder is more or less the same as normal file storage, but the plan has a special features, and this one will be taken care of automatically. So if you are already familiar with like view and data API, you have to do like create a bucket, translate, and blah blah blah. Those things you can skip it. You can actually use the bucket in for the docs, and then also translation happens automatically. It's beautifully, so you can do that. And PDF is actually the interesting one, and then we probably need to have a little bit of more feedback. Need a feedback what you probably need. PDF has a special feature that it extracts the names or from the sheet, like a title sheet, the title block. So in order to have this title block you have to have a user interventions there. So if you use a PDF to upload, then it will get in a preview document. You will see a warning sign in a UI, so user will definitely see it. So you will just need to click and then specify the title block. So this one will be still manual. So we may need to have some kind of APIs to automate that part if needed, but we probably need a feedback from you too. And then the model derivative API, this is actually showing the samples, but we have actually plenty of samples. And please go to developer.autodesk.com for documentation, and then also creating your apps, registering your apps, and get the client ID and secret, and then also documentation. And then Autodesk for the GitHub IO has full of samples. It has actually quite a lot of samples now, and then, it's interestingly, if you have too many, then it gets a little bit confusing, but plenty of samples. And there are certain things you probably need to keep in mind, such as I pointed out, like a special, the activation process, and then also BIM 360 versus core things. But other than that, it should be the same. And personally, I have this personal blog, field of view blog, wordpress.com at the Forge. And feel free to stop by my blog and then find the information. I'm making this, especially this year, I'm actively putting documentation whenever somebody asks me a question. So please keep eyes on it. I definitely committed to be very active with this blog site this year. So feel free to give me a feedback or ask questions, and here as well, in the Forge site as well. Okay, so, and summary. So today I talked about BIM 360 and family products, and I gave you the positioning of Forge within BIM. And I went through quickly what the BIM 360 and the relationship with the Forge API and then BIM 360 API. And more specifically, I talked about authentication, account level access, data management, derivatives. And then showed some example of the usage of viewer. My demo is very basic, but I hope that this will give you a kickstart, give you the big picture to kickstart, and I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. And with that, questions?
So there was a couple of questions which I already answered, but if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to either raise a hand or just post it on the questions box. If you raise a hand and it's like too long to type or something like that, I can unmute you and you can ask Mikako about it. So we're gonna give you a couple of minutes to decide if you have any more questions.
Okay, so I'll probably repeat some of the question and answer because I hear this almost every day. So
there's one that just came in actually.
Okay.
Can you see the questions box? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it possible with the current API to get the geometric properties of an object, that is diameter, length, etc.?
Yes, it is possible. So directly, so I guess what you're asking is metadata of the model, I guess. With Forge, there's a couple of ways to get it. So from the viewer, you can get the properties that come in with every specific object. And I believe from, what was the other one? I think it's from model derivative as well. You can also. So as Mikako is showing in the screen right now, there is access to all these properties that come in within the model. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, actually, yes and no, depending on the diameter and length. So if it's geometry's properties in properties, you can get it just like the Jaime said. But there is a dimension element and those things in in a Revit file, for instance. Those are actually not the part of the model at this point, so it's not possible to get it. So I think your second one, not the properties that alphanumeric, actually geometric parameters. Yeah, so the geometry you can get is through the properties. And other properties, you can actually get the geometry itself. So you can extract from the geometry information, but not like Revit's the dimension itself. You can download the geometric information using the model derivatives. So so this geometric extraction creates a geometry, but then you have to pass yourself. It's not the format designed to extract geometry, but you'll probably need to have creative way because which face, which edges and things is probably a little complicated to pass. And then, thank you, Stefano. And another thing is, I was trying to repeat is, I don't have apps and integrations. Yes, so if you have, like, let's say, trial versions, it doesn't have this. Only like when you have like enterprise paid version. But if you are alien members, as the Jaime already answered, you can ask for the not for resale. Well, I think they changed the name nowadays. I forgot something like a partner development and demonstration purpose. The new name. If you use that one, you should be able to see it. So if you don't have it, then go to the alien extranet. And you may need to ask the site administrator for alien, but he or she can order for you. And after you get that, then you should be able to access. Okay, so any other questions? You can also unmute if you prefer to talk. Okay, so then no more questions?
There's one more about the model
One more?
derivative API. Yeah, file translation and what format is available. So if you head over to the developer.autodesk.com and go over to the model derivative API, there is a part where you can see the supported translations, I believe is what it's called. I don't know if you can just quickly show it, Nikako.
Actually, I have a better way.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, from the API, I guess.
Yeah. So if you use the model derivative APIs and without any parameters like this, then you can see all the format here, and it's actually very difficult to see like this. So for instance, IFC, you can have Revit. So this one is from. This is a little bit confusing. From Revit to IFC. And so let's say if you, what would be, so for instance, this one is everything, I guess, SVF. So small one, let's say, OBJ. So OBJ will be, you can create OBJ from like F3D, FBX, IPT, blah, blah, blah. So you can get the latest one from here. And then there is also, do you know where it is? Must be a model derivative.
Yeah, so go to model derivative and then, yeah, supported translations.
Here.
And it gives
But
you a reference also to that get formats call that you're using.
yeah, so this one is probably the latest, I think.
Yeah.
Again, this one is to and from. So that was confusing. I didn't understand what they did at the beginning. So. Okay, good questions. So, any others? Okay, so no, this is kind of the Docs API access to Docs took a little longer than I initially anticipated, but looks like it started to move. And new things are coming on in the pipeline, so I'm very excited, and it's a very good timing. So feel free to start using it, and if you have any feedback, please send us. Feedback also helps us to communicate with product team, which is important for you, and what need to be prioritized for you to make production ready the web services. So this will be a very good input. So feel free to tell us what your needs are, and we are looking forward to hear somebody using API. So okay, so with that, then shall we call off today's call?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we can wrap up.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Bye. And Jaime,
Bye-bye.
thank you very much for your help.
Yep. Take care.
Bye bye.